more deeply. Find lasting freedom, discover your destiny and make an eternal difference. Now.
So, Rebecca.
I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Just when you
pre-show problems already
have your crunchy Christian moments, I'm ready for you. I have it recorded in here.
I'm aware.
So whenever you're ready to go, you just give me the look, and you're like, "This is going to be a crunchy Christian moment."
I don't even have to give you a look. You have like spider senses at this point.
It's ready to go. I just want to make sure that you knew that I was thinking about you this week. And
guys, Alex has been bullying me.
Never.
I walk in and Alex is like, "Are you tired? Are you awake?"
It's because I have care and concern.
He's on that level of friendship with you.
Yeah,
And
I have
Gary's
care and
like,
concern.
"Oh, Rebecca, I like your hair." That's a nice comment.
Well, yeah, he just walked in. He didn't get a chance to really take a look.
Oh, jeez.
He didn't see when you. This is when
All
she
right,
came
let's
in.
keep moving.
When she came in, she was like,
let's keep moving.
You know, fight this
Like
guy
that.
here.
like that. Her eyes were partly closed. Yeah. So I guess summer's almost over now. We're starting to get into 65-degree weather.
We're crawling with fudgies, y'all. I can't stand it. This week is the week that Holy Spirit is on my tail. He's like, "Hey, I know, but
Yeah.
In case
right.
you're not from northern Michigan,
Yeah.
you need to know that Emmett County goes from 34,000 year-round residents to 134,000.
Yeah.
So it's 3 times more than what we normally have.
It's crazy.
Everything is packed.
It's crazy.
And my wife was in the traffic back up from Alanson past Bayview.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah,
Bumper to
that one's
bumper.
rough.
Oh my
That
gosh.
one's rough.
Yeah. Well, we went to Gaylord
You just gotta
over
get
the
to
weekend.
Powers Road and you're all set though.
Yeah.
Right.
We went to Gaylord over the weekend, and I'm sitting at the stoplight. Like, I can't go. It's a stoplight. And this guy is honking his horn at me, like, nonstop. And Amy finally turns around. And she's like, "What is your problem?" And he just keeps honking his horn, flipping us off, and all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, I can't go anywhere yet. It's a red light. It's not one of those where you can turn right on red or move into traffic. You have to wait. It says it right there on the sign. And I'm like, okay, well, just keep honking your horn.
That's the downstate kind of thing. I was in Charlevoix. There's Dixon Avenue, which is a one-way street, and it is full of $1 million homes. And I'm driving down, and there's a truck. It's one way. The truck is going the other way, and I simply just said, "Hey, one way," and kind of like motioned to the one-way sign. Immediately got the bird, and I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this.
Right, yeah.
It's a one-way street. I'm just simply pointing out you're going the wrong direction on a one-way street.
I know.
But because I pointed it out and that made you mad, the middle finger. Okay.
Yeah.
It's always terrifying when you find out you're going the wrong way on a one-way. I was in
Always? Like, this has happened more than once.
but it has happened twice to me in a new.
That's not a positive comment.
Small towns in Texas, they always have one-ways in downtown.
Yeah.
But the signage is not always great. Like, it's not the most prominent.
You got to
in
know
these
that,
little
though.
podunk towns, right? But that's the catch. So I'm in Abilene, Texas. I'm like freshly 19, and I've got my 2 cousins in the back of my car, and I turn left the wrong way down a one-way now, and I just pterodactyl screech and pull an illegal U-turn and start going the right direction.
Well,
I look in the back and I'm like, do as I say, not as I do. That was very illegal. And
Right, yeah.
Well,
and don't do this again.
don't do it again.
My daughter got her driver's license. She passed,
I know.
passed her
Let's
test.
high five to that. Yeah.
Eloise
Super.
passed. First time, she was very concerned about parallel parking. And
It is a big problem.
she did it though.
Yeah.
She barely made it. I mean, and to be fair, like, you don't really learn how to parallel park. You got to do it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like years of doing it, and then you kind of figure it out, right?
I remember, I guess it was my daughter. We had practiced a whole bunch, and so she was ready to go. And then I thought, I know, I'll cheat the system. And we borrowed somebody's really small car.
Yeah.
And I thought, parallel parking, no problem,
Right.
right? They just moved this cones in.
Did they really? Oh, man. That's a bummer.
My brother took his driving test in my mom's minivan because that's what he had practiced in so much.
Yeah.
I think that's what you should do, though.
Yeah.
What car you drive?
Learn in
sorry,
the
go ahead.
biggest car possible.
Right.
So that when you're in the real world. But he now drives a truck, so. Yeah.
Just pass that test. Mine was that. I'm like, you don't have to parallel park. You can find other spots.
I got a
right.
91.
That's what I do.
But she did
was
it.
so mad.
The lady was like, you barely passed parallel parking. She's like, perfect. I passed.
That's
All
all
I
you
heard
need.
was
Yeah.
I passed.
That's what I do. I don't, if my wife will go downtown somewhere and she's like, there's a parking spot. I'm like, it's too tight for me. And I'll just keep driving around until I find a perfect spot where I can just pull right in. And
I'm all right
good.
to parallel
I don't
parking.
like parallel
So you
parking.
guys can remember taking driver's
Oh,
training?
yeah.
So we didn't have anything super traumatic, but I did have, we were in groups of 3, right? So there's a driver, 2 kids in the back seat, and then the instructor's in the front seat next. And the guy in the front seat driving wanted to be a part of the back seat conversation so bad, he just kept looking back there.
Oh, no, that's not good.
And and he
The driver?
the driver.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
Yeah, and he nearly took somebody, when you open the door,
Yeah.
you're on the side of the road, he nearly took the door off.
Are you kidding me? Yeah.
I'm not joking. I mean, our teacher was a female teacher, and she was just like, okay, let's get somebody else on
Yeah,
there.
right,
She was
right.
a wreck.
Oh,
My
gosh.
driving instructor was in East Jordan, and he would take us out, and we'd go to Gaylor on the highway, 75, and he would get in there, and he's like, all right, he goes, I'm going to take a nap, so don't do anything stupid.
No
Wake
way,
me up.
really?
Yeah, every time. And we're like, okay,
I'm gonna
it's-
take a nap.
Yeah, he would fall asleep
my
while we're
gosh.
driving, and I'm like, dude,
So
yeah.
How
so
does-
the year before I got to
gosh.
take driver's training in Harbor Springs, they had a Trans Am.
No way.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Trans Am with the eagle on the
Yeah.
front and
Yep,
everything.
yep.
But it was the year before I got to take driver's
That's
training.
crazy.
Yeah. So then we talked to I had this female instructor. She was a super sweet lady, good
Yeah.
Christian woman. And we wanted to practice passing.
Sure. Yeah.
So we talked her into
Can
going
we
to
pass
I-75, and then we had to do the
is
speed limit
awesome.
was only 55 at the time, so we
Yeah.
were doing like 70 to be able
Sure.
to try to pass people. It was fun.
Right. Oh man.
That is awesome.
I used to think that I had a friend of mine I coached with actually who was on the off season he would do driver's ed stuff, and I was like, that's probably a good gig, and now it's expensive to take
Oh,
the
geez,
class.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I thought that'd be a good little business to be a part of. And then my daughter began to drive, and I was like, absolutely not doing that.
Yeah,
To your own child who you can parent the way you feel you need to parent is one thing, but I couldn't imagine a kid who was bad at driving, and my kid is not, but that you are then having to kind of like soft foot around them when they're driving poorly. Like,
Right, yeah.
I would lose
So
that job. so
our
fast.
business administrator, Steve.
Yeah.
That's what he
Right.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I used to do that.
Yeah.
Steve is the perfect person.
yeah, he's really calm
do
and
that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, not me.
When I was driving my mom to school, and no, you don't have to press the flutes. We're good.
Okay.
All right.
I was getting ready.
All right. So I was driving my mom to school, and I pull out way too slow, and my mom just screams, "Commit, commit!" Well, she's had to say that to Hunter, and she's had to say that to Tanner. So now
Yeah.
I realize that my mom is probably not the best.
She doesn't have
Because
the patience.
even in my
Yeah.
front seat now, I have been pulled over one time.
Yeah.
And I told you guys that story. Never been pulled over since then. Never been in a wreck. Never anything like that.
Right.
And she'll be in the front. And she's just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, Mom.
You should mount
That's
some extra
the-
panic bars.
Yeah,
and
right.
She's like, there's no O handle on yours. I'm like,
one of
just
those
grab
roller
that.
coaster
that'd be
things that
Mom.
come down over the top.
There's
You
your
must be this
idea.
tall to be able to ride in the front.
Yeah, that's right. That'd be good.
My wife does that. There's a car
learning to
like
drive.
like 6 ball fields in front of me.
You see that car?
And she's like, "Oh my
You see
gosh,
that
you're
car
like way
braking?
too close. You're
Yeah.
way too close." And I'm like,
Mind you,
Yeah.
somebody else in my family that drives has a following distance of a 1/2 squirrel, and it
Oh,
drives
yeah.
me nuts.
That'd
Like
be
the
kinda
whole
nervous,
time,
yeah.
I'm like nauseated. Just like, please, why do you have to follow them so close?
Well-
And then they'll slam on the brakes, and then we almost die. And then I'm like, oh, I wonder if we had 4-car following distance, if that would be better.
"Yeah, of course, always."
But
Yeah.
here, if you leave too much space in the summertime, somebody's going to cut in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
I on my way in today, Eli had tutoring and I was late, and I'm like, this is literally just because of the traffic.
Yeah.
And it is, man. It is a trying time.
Yeah.
I get the like Holy Spirit conversations in the car of like,
All the
why
time.
am I so angry right now?
Because
Right.
it is every man for themselves out there, man. Nobody cares. It's crazy.
So when you
Last
just-
year, I saw literally a car. It was a kid. It was a young driver. Had a bike underneath the bumper at Bayview. Like and the person was like there with their hands out and stuff. It was like this 17-year-old girl, and you're like, that your day is way better than it could have been.
Yeah.
Like, that person
Yeah.
could have died.
You could have been on
And
that bike.
It's just like a gazillion people, bicycles, cars everywhere. It's just a lot.
And they own the road.
Yeah.
The bike riders own the road.
Yeah,
Speaking of-
Bayview is tough. Like that is so
Yeah.
hard. Like, yeah.
Speaking of which, let me give a cool God testimony real quick.
Here we go.
So
Oh,
my
the-
college town,
Okay.
college town was always, I mean, we would go, so the permanent residents, same thing here. When the college students would come back, the town would grow by 70,000. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was bad.
Right.
But I was driving through the gym parking lot and this girl comes flying around a blind corner, slams into the side of my car, flies over my car.
Oh my gosh.
And I get out and she's like, I'm fine, I have to go. And just my car's just got this huge dent in the side of it.
She's in a
And
car.
she left. No,
she's on a bike.
I was in the car. She
I
was in the
see.
bike. And so I just started praying. I was like, God, I need you to fix this. Like, I don't know how. Like, I'm
Yeah.
a poor college student. Like, I've got money, but I don't have like a ton of money. And 2 weeks later, my boss was getting his car detailed. And the guy was like, hey, you got a dent in the side of your car. And I was like, yeah. He was like, can I fix that for you? And I was like, yeah.
Sure.
You put a
Nice.
plunger on it.
Yeah, so he
Pull it
just
right out.
literally popped it right out, and then he just like wiped this stuff on the scratches, and it was like brand new again.
That's the way to do
God's
it. Yeah.
good,
That's
man.
awesome.
Yeah, that's good.
That's awesome.
Bikes.
Okay. Well, do you ever wonder why you take the time each week to listen to
I don't
more
know why you guys
podcasts?
listen.
But I'll tell you why. What it more stands for. It stands for maximizing opportunities for right now and eternity. And just stop asking why you listen. Just never forget to listen. And I had somebody come in my office yesterday and tell me that they just loved this podcast.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was like, well, thank you very much. He goes, yeah, I've been listening to him, and he goes, I've been one of the original listeners, and I just love it. You guys are getting better every day, and I just thought, well, thank you. I'll tell the team that.
Cool.
I'll tell all the team. Well, this podcast is sponsored by Electric Water Gun 9000, because nothing says maturity like ambushing your neighbor with a 35-foot blast of justice from a battery-powered squirt cannon. With 500, what is that, milliliters?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tank. And rapid fire action, this thing turns your backyard barbecue into a full-blown water warfare arena. Perfect for kids, adults, and the uncle who takes summer fun way too seriously. So ditch the boring garden hose and grab the blaster that screams, I may be grown, but I still bring the splash. Electric Water 9000.
So is
Stay
that what you
hydrated.
have?
That's what I have, yeah.
This is
$22.99.
So now we have like
Actual
a
proof.
real, we have
Yeah.
a real customer here.
We do. Well, I'm the customer.
Right, that's what
Yeah.
I mean.
It is a pretty satisfying squirt gun to shoot.
It did look
Yeah.
like it was pretty, and then you turn the light on the end, it
Yeah.
looked like fire coming
You know what's
out.
funny
Yeah,
is I
it's
posted that just showing people how what a geek I am on, and it's got like 400 views.
Oh, really?
People are like, "Oh, I want to get one."
I think because there's a gazillion people who've seen that ad.
Right.
And then I think that's the genius of social media marketing is now this guy actually bought the thing that's the ad that everybody sees, and they're going, I want to see if that thing actually works.
So how long did they run the little plastic pistol squirt gun? How long did they run that before they came out with the Super Soaker?
Right.
It was
so
like
I was gonna
decades.
say, yeah,
they never
Yeah.
made any improvement to the
Right.
squirt gun.
Right.
That was your era of youth ministry, right?
Yeah, Super Soakers, yeah.
I remember being a kid when the Super Soaker. I remember the first one that came out had the pump and the
Yeah.
big
Yeah, pump
green
action,
thing on
yeah.
the top.
Yep.
Like that was the coolest thing
Yeah.
ever.
Right.
And now, and I remember thinking it was pretty sweet. Now they have ones they like actually hurt.
Yeah.
Like it's like a full on blast of water, and it's like
Yeah.
leaving
Oh,
the-
yeah.
So Ted, you may not know this about me, but when I was a youth pastor, we made these videos in the summer, and we took a Super Soaker and put lighter fluid in it, and then we taped a Bic lighter to the end that was lit, and you could flame throw
Oh my God.
probably
Yeah.
about 15 feet.
Really?
Yeah, it was super
Yeah.
great.
It's a plastic gun. It didn't
It would melt
like
down
Yeah.
after a while. I mean, as long as you kept the fire out the end a little ways,
There
you
was
were
no
good.
concern that was coming back in the chamber. And
No,
then
not at all.
blowing up.
It's just lighter fluid. It's not super explosive.
Okay.
You don't ever
yeah,
think
yeah.
about those things when you're doing that kind
Right.
of stuff.
Do
Yeah.
you remember this?
Oh, I've been around. I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot over the years. with
That
Pastor
goes in the
Gary.
files
Yeah.
of things that you would get fired for today. Now,
Yeah, now you can't do it anymore.
I
Yeah.
sent
Elder board, listen. This flamethrower Super Soaker was a part of an object lesson
Yeah,
of the
right.
fires of hell.
That's right.
We were getting there. You just had to see it
I got
all.
5 more kids in youth group
That's
next
right.
week. 'cause of that.
Exactly.
That was the thing. Yeah.
I sent Alex a video of people when they lit still wool on fire,
Yeah.
and they were swinging it around, and it was just like sparks flying in every direction. I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
It's like fun.
Okay,
It is
so
fun.
then
Yeah.
then after the Super Soaker, then the next thing which I just looked it up here. It's the stream machine. It was that big thing you would like
Oh, yeah.
suck up the lake water, and then you'd
Those were
shoot and a
fun.
big bucket of water would
Yeah,
hit
yeah,
you.
those
Those
were
were great.
Yep, those
I
were
remember
fun.
the first time I got hit with one of those is on Crooked River. You're riding in your boat and you're waving at the
Yeah.
people in the crowd and stuff, and they just like unload a gallon
Yeah,
of
yeah.
water on you. It was-
Right.
You're like fully
So
submerged in water.
the
yeah.
next time you go down the river, you have yours, and then
Right.
it's like a battle
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
people on shore.
Yeah.
Oh, I
That
love
is-
when they
those
do
are
that
fun.
at water parks, where when you're going by on the water ride, the people watching the ride
Oh,
have
have
the
the little-
squirt guns,
yeah.
and they're just like, "Ra-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta." You're like trying not to get wet, and you're soaked.
You always have that person in the boat, like, if you spray me, I'm going to come after you.
And then this
Yeah.
one guy, he was like losing his mind in my boat. I'm like, buddy, you're on a water.
So
Yeah, you're on a
this morning
Yeah,
I
right.
went for a
You're gonna
ride on
get
the
wet.
electric bike, and the bike had been left out during the rain, so the cup holder was full of water, and I'm riding along, and it's like I'm just getting
Yeah.
totally wet, and I'm like, what is going on here? And I realized water is just splashing out of the cup holder onto me. It was
Okay,
very fun.
so I have this new challenge that I picked up on internet. It's playing air guitar with a bug zapper paddle. Have you seen that?
And
Yeah.
you gotta like.
Yeah,
fight
you
through
have to
the
try to
thing.
fight through it to play this whatever song you're playing. Air guitar with a bug zapper. That's the next level. I sent that to Pastor Matt. I'm like, should we do this for this group? And he's like, no, I'd probably have parents call me about that one. But
Yeah, my youth ministry story of water balloons, water fights were. So I was at a Young Life camp, and there's this squirrely kid in youth group who's just always looking to push it to the next level. Shout out Logan Eckhart. Logan, you
yeah,
guy.
Logan.
So-
Good job, yeah.
So it's the water balloon launchers, you know, the big like
Oh,
slingshot
yeah,
things.
yeah, yeah.
And it was like, you know, put your leader as far away as you can and hit him right with the water balloon. Well, I'm like 10 feet away from him, just giving instructions, and he's like, and I kind of like. I was like, dude, this is gonna hurt somebody, and so I stuck my hand out to stop it,
Right.
Because this thing's like a heater. Like,
Right.
how fast are those things coming off that thing? And it just destroyed my hand. Like, it hit so hard, and I turned around and walked away. Like, I was so mad, and he ran. He's like, "Let me see your hand. It's okay, it's okay." And I'm like, "Logan, you need to get away."
I'm
from
about
me
ready to
right
lose
now."
my holiness right now. Yeah, that's it.
It was I'm in serious pain. I
Yep.
told you not to do this. Get away from me.
Yeah, the
right
suppressed
now.
anger
Yes.
sound. Yes.
About ready
I
to lose
love
it.
you, but
I'm going to say
physical
some
harm
things.
is on the table right now.
I'm
if you
saying
don't
things in
get
my
away.
head right now that I should not be saying. Yes, I got it.
All right, here's the last one, and then I'll let you go.
Okay.
Another church camp prank that you never do. So we took a trash can, filled it up with water, and you lean it against the door, and then you knock on the door, and the people open the door, and the whole trash can comes in the room.
Yeah.
You did that.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Which ended up in a fist fight between the people in the cabin. For real, there was punches being.
As one would expect, right?
Yeah,
That is awesome.
I got my jam box on the
Right,
floor, and I
yeah.
just got hit with 40 gallons of water.
We used to do when we took kids to camp. We used to do the Axe body spray bombs.
Yeah, those are the
One of the
worst.
kids figured out how
The
to make it
worst.
so it'd spray constantly until it'd empty the can, and so we'd go by the girls' dorms and we would set those up and then whip them in there and run. Oh my gosh!
Everybody
Hear
gets
about
a
that.
headache after that, though.
Yeah,
That's the
Such
fun
a
part.
bummer.
That
So
is
then
the
you
fun
take
part.
you take the old deodorant spray nozzle and put it on your shaving cream, and then you could spray shaving cream everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
That was good too.
Y'all are why I don't want sons anymore.
Yeah,
FYI.
Oh,
is
it's
a
so
thing.
much fun.
Well, and then you put them together with like 25 other like adolescent boys. and
Yeah.
like, look out.
It's so much fun.
Youth ministry is a weird thing. It's a
God.
It's
weird
the best ever.
It is.
All right, well, we're going to take a night break. We're going to come back with some helpful projects and ideas that you can use for the summer that you can get your family around and have a good time with.
Oh, good.
So we'll get back to that list here right after the ID break.
Oh, don't go nowhere. More podcasts, there's more to say. Get your feet moving. Get up from your office desk and start jiggling it. Yes, let's do this. You're on the More Podcast. We'll be right back.
So a mom on the internet said, you know, we need to come up with some new games to get the family together during the summer season, have some fun. And so she came up with a list of 10 ideas that I thought were kind of interesting. I've never heard of these before.
Okay.
Or actually, I got a 5 on here for us. Some of the things that she come up with. This is a pretty funny one. S'mores roulette. You guys ever heard of that one?
Nope.
Basically, you take one marshmallow, you fill it with hot sauce or super hot sauce. Put it on a stick. Like you're gonna put it over the fire. You're gonna heat it up. Put it on a s'more setup, and then try to see how long people can last by eating the hot sauce.
So
s'mores.
somebody might get a spicy s'more.
Yeah.
I feel like that might be good. Isn't like sweet and hot a thing now?
Yeah, and have you seen the people that they'll do that, but it's like roulette, where it's like there's 5 of something and there's 5 people, and you walk up and you eat or drink the thing, and you have to pretend like it's not you.
Yeah.
So, like, it's not you that got the spicy one. And
Oh,
you have to
yeah,
vote.
yeah, I see
You
what
have to
you're
vote
saying. Yeah,
who you think actually got the
That's
spicy
even
one.
better.
That'd be fun.
Add
And
that
it's
to
always
that.
funny when somebody's eyes start watering and they're like,
Yeah.
yummy.
Yeah, right.
That's a good idea.
Fill it up with like ghost pepper. juice or
No,
something.
don't do an injury.
You can buy those. Ghost
Really?
peppers are at D&W. Yeah.
What if
Yeah.
you just stuffed it
Just
with
get
mayonnaise
the juice
or something?
and put the juice in there.
Right.
Mayonnaise.
No, the whole point is that they're like you just said,
We'll do
they're
that at
crying
family
and
camp. It's
sweating.
coming up.
That's what I'm saying. These could all be things that happen at family. I should give this list to Chelsea.
You should.
The other one is glow in the dark toilet paper. We talked about this last week. That there apparently is glow in the dark toilet paper. You can use this to play hide and seek with it. Put it out there, and the winner has to go find it. When they find it, they get TP'd with it, and it's an activity. I think.
That would be a new way to teepee. That was a youth group thing we did. We
Yeah.
teepeed in my youth pastor's house all the time. Glow in the dark toilet paper
That'd
teepee.
be like a game changer, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So you got to put it out there. They have to find it somewhere, and then you see what happens.
So the next level of TPing is when you TP right before it rains, because then you're not getting it out.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
That's not good.
I think that'd be
You're
good. Yeah.
evil.
Here's another one: the Great Ice Cream Soup Challenge. Everyone creates the nastiest ice cream flavor imaginable. Must be edible. Bonus points for including pickles, mustard, or sadness. Judged by bravery, not taste. So you got to go for that.
Also, something I did in youth group.
Yeah, like these are all bring back memories. Tim?
Oh, yeah. Whatever's in the kitchen must not kill you. Put it in a cup. Who can drink it? Yeah.
Yeah. We used to do
Youth
that.
group planned.
Right.
Done.
Yeah, I like that. And now we're going to talk about Jesus. Everybody sit down.
Right.
Even though you're puking, sit down and
Ketchup and salt and
here's
Baking
a
soda.
nice one for the crunchy parents out there. Pet rock talent show. This will be going. Find a rock, give it a name, glowing googly eyes, and have people paint them and do whatever they want. And it sounds like a good thing.
yeah.
The last one is DIY backyard spa. I thought this would be kind of fun. Let your kids give you a spa day, but you got to use things that you find out in the house and around the yard. So, drywall mud if you have in the garage.
What?
Make little mud pies for the eyes or something like that. But
Okay.
basically the whole idea is just to have fun with your kids like that. And I have done that.
Sure.
My kids give Amy a spa day many times, and it was including stuff like that. Yeah, and you just have fun.
But our kids have always enjoyed treasure hunts, so I go bury something in the backyard
Yeah.
and draw the map and all that. Get
that's a
clues.
good idea.
They
Yeah.
love that, and then they get to dig it up themselves.
Cool.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Permission to dig a hole. Best day ever.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and so this is just a list of things you could probably add to your backyard barbecue or family camp coming up.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think the s'mores one would be hilarious.
It'd be fun.
I think that would be one that we should.
Well,
do.
they have spicy chocolate, so it'd be fun if we did.
yeah.
Everybody has to make a s'more, and you don't know what kind of chocolate you're getting, and one of it's chili.
But I would
Chocolate.
think that would taste good. Like I like
Like a spicy?
sweet
I don't know.
heat.
My mom
Isn't that a
thinks
thing?
pepper is
Yeah.
spicy, so if she got it, she'd
Right,
be really
yeah,
upset.
I guess it depends. Yeah.
hacking
I
and
like what
coughing.
your-
Yeah.
Your heat level.
Well, it'd have to be
tolerance is.
definitely a disclaimer that this is going to be s'mores roulette, which means
Sure.
that you could get something like that. So you
Yeah.
got to sign off on a waiver on that.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a 90 break. We'll come back, and I guess we're getting to introductions here.
You're tuned into more podcast where we talk a lot, but somehow it's still worth listening to. Stay with us for more laughs and good vibes.
Well, if you wonder who has actually been talking now for the last 20 minutes, it's your usual suspects. She forages for mushrooms, reads Leviticus by moonlight, and once fasted on beet juice for clarity. She's 80% organic, 20% mystery. Please welcome the prophetess of probiotic prophecy, Becca Moore. Yes.
In the top secret 1964 Underground Church Games, he took first place in the Sanctified Speedwalk, power walking through a revival tent while quoting the entire book of James in reverse order. Pastor Gear.
That's pretty good. That is pretty good.
Thank
That
you.
is-
Thank
yeah.
you. That
It's an event you didn't even know
was
was in the
actually the
Olympics.
year
I know.
before I was born. So
That's
Yeah. Oh, 1964 was. Oh,
I
okay.
was born in
Yeah.
'65.
Oh, see. there
So
you
I'm
go.
a lot younger than you thought.
Yeah.
He once went off grid for 6 months and came back with a full beard, a deeper faith, and a sworn friendship with Bigfoot. They met on a covert mission in the Rockies. Ted was undercover. Bigfoot was just vibing. They still write letters in bark. Pastor Ted.
Yeah. All right. He's here.
I
wish
wish
I could grow a full beard. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. You can. Well.
Yeah, great. Now you brought up more trauma, Alex.
Oh man.
All right, so the man with all the talent, he knows what every button knob does and also can use it as a weapon.
Yeah.
The man who can put toothpaste back in the tube and use dental floss to cut hard cheese. Pastor Alex Norton.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. Yes. Ted, you can't grow a beard for real.
No.
I think I can grow a better
I
beard
see,
than Ted
I see
can.
potential.
My son
I do
met
the,
my son
like,
met a girl who
scruffy
could
thing.
grow a good
And
beard.
like there's a moment where it just gets weird, and
Okay.
it's like you're like,
Is it red and curly?
no, but it's like patchy,
Okay.
and so it'll be thick in some place. It's just not a great look. So
Okay.
I do the scraggly thing.
My kids are ticked because like last winter I grew a full beard.
Yeah.
And they're like, we want to grow one too, and I'm like, dude, just give it up because like
Yeah.
Carson gets a patch here.
Yeah.
This is real patchy. And I'm like,
And,
sorry.
and it's really bad when it's patchy. Like it's
Yeah.
just not a good look. So
I'm like, maybe when you turn 50.
You look homeless.
Yeah.
You're
start-
right.
You can start growing it. Yeah. I don't know.
yep.
I don't know. We'll see. We're going to take an ID break, come back with Harbor Light Bible Trivia.
I know you thought a church podcast. Boring. I hope by now you have realized that we are not normal. We wear weird on our sleeves 24/7. This is more podcast. Let's have some fun.
All right. Here we are, the Bible Trivia.
Yes.
With Pastor
So
Gary.
I do want to talk a little bit about last week's question, which was what caused the Red Sea to part. Did you guys, anybody look it up? What do
It's
you got?
the wind.
Yes.
I knew that.
What direction did the wind come from?
The east.
There you go. Got an east wind. Took care of the Red Sea. And
Somebody was going with the rod.
Yep. So that
I was going with the Lord.
Yeah, the Lord.
You're like,
So,
it covers
so
everything.
the question for this week is what, and this is bringing me it's connected to the story, but what part of the Red Sea did they cross? And that's a little controversial. So we
Right.
can talk about it a little bit, but what part of the Red Sea did they cross?
Because you kind of showed that map on Sunday.
I did.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the question for this week coming up. Okay, where did they cross the Red Sea at?
Do we want coordination, coordinates for that?
Yeah, Google Maps.
Yeah,
Google
do
Map
the Google
coordinates.
Maps version of it.
We want
See-
coordinates.
Yep.
GPS coordinates so that we have a good idea about that.
So
Send it to
people
us.
are going to have to look it up, and they're going to read some of the controversial stuff that goes along with it, which was fine.
Oh, there's controversy within even in the theologian academic world about it being the Reed Sea or the Red Sea.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a big debate. Who cares?
Which is great because I'll talk about it next week. That'll be good.
Well, let's just say that if it was a lesser body of water, it even makes it more of a miraculous thing.
Because the Pharaoh's army drowned in it.
Yeah.
And drowned in it, yeah.
In
So
6
it's the-
inches of water,
Right, well,
really?
yeah.
Take what do you pick there, right? The sea
Right.
being deep or the
Or-
guy
Yeah,
drowning
yeah.
there?
Go with whatever you want.
Yeah.
You know, it's still a miracle. All right, if you want to answer that question, send it to harborlightbibletrivia@gmail.com. Send it to harborlightbibletrivia@gmail.com, all lowercase, and let us know your answer, and we'll put you I'll put you on the wheel of destiny from Wilson Insurance, and then Pastor Ted with his golden fingers
That's right.
will turn the wheel at the end of the month, and you could win a prize. We don't know what the prize is yet. We're working on that, but we
I still get Alan his gift certificate to Scallywags.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's official. Yeah.
Maybe we should go to lunch. Okay.
Yeah, we should, yeah. All right, we'll be right back after this ID break.
Life's full of questions. The More podcast has answers, or at least a good laugh while we figure it out. Stay with the only group of minds NASA could not find jobs for. We will be right back.
It's been this whole podcast, and I haven't been able to use this flute music with you yet. Can you like say something that would be?
I think it's coming soon.
I'm just I put it on there
What is
for
that? Is that Titanic?
That's Titanic, but with a very special
bad flute, yeah.
recorder.
It's a recorder. Yeah.
Yeah, very good stuff. Well, welcome to a brand new series that we're calling the Red Sea Rescue.
Yep.
Today we're diving into Exodus chapter 14 to learn the first of 10 powerful lessons from the journey of the Israelites. Lessons that still speak to our lives today. Whether you're coming out of a storm, standing at the edge of one, or feel like you're right in the middle, this message is for you. So get ready, because sometimes God leads us straight into a trap just to show us how he brings us out. Pastor Gary.
Yes. So I got many comments from people this week. Most of them saying, thank you, I needed to hear that. A couple of them saying, please preach about something else because this is too painful. So
it's too bad.
Yeah.
Man.
So some people are in the middle of the trouble.
Yeah.
Remember I told you, you either just came through it, you're in the middle of it, or it's coming soon, right? Those that are in the middle of it weren't necessarily super
We're like,
encouraged,
yeah, we don't
right?
want this. Yeah.
Can't you be more positive? Well, I'm positive you're going to have problems. So
That's
yes,
how positive
it was just
I am.
kind of a tough one, but and I felt like it's a good balance to where we're at with a covenant, where we see God being a promise maker and a promise keeper, and we have all those wonderful promises. And then I started to kind of like dissect a lot of those promises, and they're actually based on getting you through problems. I'll never leave you.
Yeah.
You're going to make it through. So I didn't say this week. This last week, but problems are the seedbed for miracles to grow.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
You got to have that. And so, yes, kind of a tougher subject, but we're going to try to make it as life-giving as we possibly can, and applicable to when you do go through problems and troubles. And so I felt pretty encouraged in the delivery. Went really well, and I think the receptivity was for the most part really, really well. People complained that the room was super cold to get started.
Oh, that was perfect, though.
Yes.
Perfect.
By the end, it
Yeah.
was just perfect. But I have to explain that this week, I guess, in housekeeping, the reason that we do it that way. So it was pretty traumatic for some people. They're like, I'm having flashbacks to winter.
Okay.
Well, when you walk in,
they're
I mean,
just
when you
fine.
walk in there when you like, there's nobody in there yet. It was cold.
Yeah.
But after
It's
a
a
while,
large room to regulate, folks.
and
It's hard.
eventually you kind of warmed up.
Yeah, you get lights and bodies in there, it'll warm up.
Yeah.
They're just
So, yes, I think for people that know the story and have seen the movie, I think that this week was fun for people to recognize that God made them walk around in a circle before they crossed the Red Sea
right.
to in a deceptive way, or it maybe even in a way that kind of lured Pharaoh in
Yeah.
to think that they were confused.
Yeah.
And that the Lord directed that. Now, of course, as you read it, Moses is getting the information ahead of time. Whether he's telling the people, hey, we're going to walk into a trap or not, is kind of left for you to determine.
Right.
But they definitely walked around, looked confused, camped, but did exactly what the Lord said. And, so the Lord led them into a trap. But it was there to be able to show his glory to the children of Israel, give them miraculous entry into, out of Egypt, because that's really kind of the barrier. The Red Sea is the barrier to Egypt. You can't go back.
Right, yeah.
And so he gave them a miraculous demonstration of his power. But wasn't it fun to see part of the reason for that was so that the Egyptians would know that I am the Lord. What do you guys think about that thought?
Ted, you look like you're saying something.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. I always think of like how Pharaoh, his interaction with Moses is, it's just this tug of war back and forth. And that seems to be like the final, like, proclamation from the Lord, right? It's one more, dude, you've seen me do all these miraculous things. You are against me and my people, and you need to not be anymore, right? Yeah. And so even like it's a hard thing to think about. Obviously, God wipes them out in the sea, right? But there is this level of, hey, here's one more opportunity for you to get on board here, man.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So the other thing, and you guys might know this, but Moses negotiated a 3-day go worship God in the wilderness experience with kind of like, I'll come back.
Right.
And the Bible actually says, and I think it was in chapter 13, when Pharaoh realized they weren't coming back, that's when he said, we got to get these people back. So isn't it kind of funny that there was a little deception in there, even in that.
Yeah.
Okay, ready? Cue the music. Go.
No flute. We're good. Okay, so when I was reading Exodus, Moses had his list of, okay, we want this and this and this and this. That's all we need. We're going to go 3 days and then we'll come back, kind of a thing. But every time Pharaoh was like, well, I'll give you 3, not 4. Like 3 of the 4 things. It was like, you can't bring your animals, or you can't bring your this, or you can't bring your that, or you can't do this, you can't do that. And Moses was like, bro, the stipulations have not changed. And I find that fascinating that God was like, okay, well, you're not going to concede on what I've asked of you. You're going to bring your sacrifices. You're going to bring your slaves. You're going to bring your kids. You're going to bring all of it. And this is what's going to happen. And God just used the hard-heartedness of him being like, no, you're going to make a concession. And God's like, no, actually, I'm not going to make a concession. I'm going to use your hard-heartedness. I'm going to get my people out of there permanently.
Yep.
So I agree. It just seems really interesting that Moses was leaving and not coming back, but he negotiated a long weekend.
Yeah.
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 Well, it seemed like an easy concession, right? You know, you could do that much.
And he wouldn't even agree to that. That's the crazy part, is that Moses was asking for an inch, and then God had to take a mile.
Okay.
I think it's interesting, though, because the mentality of the people of Egypt, this is the thing that's always made it interesting for me, is that they were so upset that one of the concessions was they're going to take their gold and all this stuff and leave with all that. That people, basically, they were that to the surrounding nations themselves. I mean, they would go in and pilfer and take everything. It wasn't like they had mined all that stuff, and it was stuff that they had created and put together. If you know anything about the Egyptian people, they just kind of assumed a region, assumed advancements, assumed whatever was available at that time. And so it wasn't like they had built that themselves. And so when you talk about like the pyramids and all the advancements that happened, again, that was all because they allowed other people to do that for them. The people that were Egyptians, native Egyptians, did not. They just let everybody else do it for them. And so having the children of Israel leave, that was a huge economic downfall for the nation, because now all of a sudden they're going to have to be responsible for their own nation.
Yeah, it shows the heart, right? He's seen over and over and over. Like this God that Moses is worshiping will bring destruction to you. And when his free labor takes off, he's still willing to wait.
Yeah.
What did you guys feel when I brought up the point that I learned from Ray Vanderlaan? That when they're in slavery, they're in Goshen. That's the most beautiful, lush place in all of Egypt, and God calls them out of the lush into the wilderness, into the dry.
Boy, there's some application there for you and I, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So the Lord calls us sometimes not to a better place, financially or whatever. Sometimes He calls us to a harder place.
Yeah.
Where and we all know this because of our Bible study. It's so that they learn dependence, right? Daily dependence on God.
Well, and that's the wilderness, right? I mean, that is it. You're those folks are literally going through years of, I am your God. I am going to be faithful. You will trust me, and this is going to take some chiseling away at some calluses.
And the other things that can add to the mindset of the Israelites as they're leaving with a God they don't know. They don't have the Torah, right? They don't have any of that.
Wow.
So He's calling them to take this huge leap of faith to leave what they know, even though it's slavery, but to leave and then go follow a God that they really don't know. That's pretty amazing.
Because he's as far as they know, he's the God of the patriarchs. He's the God of Jacob and Joseph. And that's the interesting thing when you see in Scripture, is that it's always referred to those people. But He was wanting them to take on the identity, because that's why we get to Exodus chapter 20, and God says, I want you to be my people, and I'm going to be your God. That's the first time we have the statement made that this is the relationship I'm looking for. Not just with those people, but you here.
I think that adds to a lot of this incredible journey that these people are on, is to realize they're really stepping into that relationship that God wants, but with a God, but they really don't know, other than hearsay of what happened 3 generations back.
And I don't think they necessarily always wanted that. They liked the fact that they were getting freed from Egypt. That was great. But you want me to buy into this whole thing with you becoming, our only God, as a, when they were in a monotheistic, he was trying to pull them into a monotheistic mindset, and they were in this this plethora of gods and people. Polytheism. Yeah.
Yeah, again, I just go to the practical of like application stuff. I just kept thinking about how this, you're leaving for God you don't know yet, the familiarity of slavery, and the application for every single one of us. But we have large recovery community at Harbor Light of sin and destruction is awful and brings death, but it's familiar. Right? Like, so there's like addiction, whatever. I even think about my own mental health, like journeys of like depression is familiar, right? It's sort of like a weighted blanket that you don't know how to throw off at times.
Yeah.
And so you gonna just sit and wallow in the familiar, or do you want to do the hard work and go into kind of the freedom? And I just think there's something really powerful about that, PG, that yesterday of just being, hey, maybe God, he's not unknown to you, but you don't know what he's taken you into. And there is, man, that's applicable to so many people's lives, myself included, of just, man, the Lord doesn't guarantee you the game plan and just handing it to you in a 3-ring binder, but he guarantees that he'll be faithful and he'll be steadfast. And we've seen that over and over, and we see that in this story. And that's a pretty powerful application.
Yeah. And it's as somebody that's come out of an extended wilderness season, you have to relearn how to live not in the wilderness.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing that I've come to realize is when God was like, okay, I'm taking you out of the season. All of these things that you were doing to get by and all that kind of stuff, they're not going to work anymore because I need you to trust me in a different way because I'm going to be for you a different thing. So that's been hard because you got to, it's comfortable, but at the beginning, getting into the wilderness, I was uncomfortable. But then I found what worked in the wilderness, and God and I had our groove, and we were in a groove, and God was like, okay, well, now you're not in the wilderness anymore, so now I need you to act differently. And I'm like, now I'm uncomfortable again.
Yeah. I heard it, slavery mindset.
Yeah.
Like God's working in the wilderness, just taking away slavery mindset.
Yep.
But it's a process.
Yeah, it is a process.
God was telling me yesterday, I was like having some faith for a couple of things, and he said, the first couple of times that the Israelites woke up, they had to trust that they were going to walk out their doors and see manna. He's like, so I expect you to be a little wary as you're walking outside, you open your eyes, you're looking around, you're waiting for manna. Yeah. But eventually you're going to get used to the manna being there. He's like, I'm not against you having to learn. I'm just wanting you to learn to trust.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it picking up survivalist techniques in your spiritual journey is crucial.
Yeah.
And I think we have a lot of Christians that don't know how to survive if they have to totally rely on faith and rely on God's trust.
You have to live completely differently in the wilderness. It was prayer and fasting and all of these things. And then when life calms down, you have all those tools in your back pocket for the next time a wilderness comes around, but you still have to learn to live differently.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, part of the issue that I've noticed sometimes too is that when we live in a land of plenty, which we see later on in the story of Israel, that's when you forget how important God is. Yeah. And so for me, I've learned a lot of times in wilderness experiences to be the most profound and special moments for me, because that's when I really understand, God's care for me, his concern, his love, all these things. Yeah. And the moments of plenty, I'm happy when they happen, but at the same time, I'm not like, oh God, please, make my life so great.
But that exact thing is what we struggle with when we're leaving the wilderness, because let's call it warfare seasons, right? Yeah. So we're leaving, we're like, God, I know you so well in warfare. I know how to war. I know how to do this. And then the enemy will, and let's just speak for myself, will get in and say, you're going to get everything you want and you're going to forget God. I'm like, I've been through hell in the last 5 years. You're telling me 5 years of hell, I'm going to get 6 months into some freedom here and I'm just going to forget my God. Like, I don't think that's the case. God came for us to have abundance, whatever abundance could be, like on the other side of a mental health journey, or finally getting a little bit like out into a little bit more prosperity financially or whatever. Yeah. God came for us to be able to make some progress in life, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to, okay, well, I've been I know how to get through depression. I know how to this. I know how to that. I don't want to not be depressed and then not be reliant on you. No, you have to embrace the fact that God's going to put more on your plate.
Yeah.
And want more for you.
Yeah, but I'm just saying in the cycle of Israel,
Yeah.
that was not the case.
I know.
Yep.
The case was when they would find that moment of being in paradise.
Yep.
It only took a little while, and they were moving right back. Because I think the flesh is very strong. Paul talks about how strong the flesh is, and the spirit is weak. As much as we'd like to think that we have it all figured out, I think our flesh, our knee-jerk reaction is to eventually start moving in the wrong direction again, because that's the flesh trying to draw us into there. That's why it's a constant thing, and that's why Paul said in Romans 12, daily, not just every month or whenever you feel like it. Put yourself on the altar.
Right.
Yeah.
Sacrifice, because it is the truth. It is what we are. It is the knee-jerk reaction of all sinful humanity, and we can experience so much joy in that. We can experience so much of God's presence in those moments as well. But the reality is that it has to be the awareness of what we live our lives by, because the evil one will definitely look for those moments when he can trip us up, make us go back to where we don't want to be. And, Paul says, the greatest apostle ever, he says, the things I want to do, I don't do. The things I try to do well, I fail. And he goes to this whole litany of weird, it's just a weird passage of scripture, but his whole point is that as much as I try to be perfect and move in the right direction and follow through with what I'm supposed to do, I still fail. I still have those moments. And, the only caveat is at the end of it is that he constantly has to put his wheels to the ground. He has constantly put rubber to the road to make sure he's moving forward. And he calls it a mark and a race, running towards that mark.
Right.
Forgetting what's behind and moving forward to that mark. And I think that is crucial for all of us. And when we forget that moment, we forget those opportunities, we will tend to regress, because that's just the nature of it. I mean, look at, you've been talking about Adam and Eve in the garden. They're in the most perfect setting, and yet still in the midst of that perfect setting, they went after the one thing they were not supposed to do, and they lost it all. And so that, I think, to me personally, that's one of the biggest lies that we tell people in the Christian church, is that the fullness of Jesus Christ, we have all this wonderful stuff and we can just live this wonderful life, and the devil loves it because we get so enamored by that stuff, and we forget the fact that we're constantly fighting against principalities and powers in high places. They're trying to bring us down and trying to make us stumble. And when we forget that, that's when we fail. That's when we fall.
Yep. So, Peach, the encouragement for the person who's coming out of slavery. So I'm thinking about what you guys have been saying, that like how apparent it is, I think, and it's a shared human experience of Christians, of you see God at work in the middle of coming out of slavery or dealing the hardships. Like, God is so close. We don't want to lose, it's a weird dichotomy of, I don't want to leave that because I don't want to lose God. What's your encouragement to the person who's coming out of slavery or in it right now, that person who didn't want you to preach the series, right? Because it just hurts too much. What's the encouragement then for them?
Yeah, that's a great question.
It's a big question.
I think that if the person has been a person of faith for a while, you have to go back and see all the times that God was reliable, and that will help. If it's a person who's new to the faith, then you need to start recognizing and looking for the times that he has been faithful to you, because it's as my grandson said, it's keeping your eyes on God, and then your problems find their right place, right?
Yeah.
But if you keep your eye on your problem, then you can't see where God's taking you, right? And so it's a shift in focus. It's a shift in what you're looking. And so the children of Israel, as they're crying out for the Lord in slavery, they just can list all of the things that are hard. I have to work now 7 days a week. I have to make straw bricks without straw, and they know. This is the familiarity part of it. They know their slavery well. Yeah. They can make that list without even trying. And now they have to start making a list of the parts where God's coming through. Yeah. And it's a spiritual discipline. Yeah. Right? And so you're going to have to add the discipline too.
I think that's the discipline piece. It's time to get radical. Yeah. It's time to get minute and time to get very practical of what does your daily routine look like?
Yeah.
You know, that new Christian, again, for our folks in recovery, of like, you're in the middle of it. Now, like, it is prime time for the enemy to take you out. And so you get very practical and minute of going, what does your daily spiritual disciplines look like? What is the enemy saying to you, and acknowledge it very fast, and you call it out in Jesus' name, right? So there's a sense for me, again, in thinking of my own life, of I got so practical. My day, my routine, I knew I was talking to, I knew, you know, those kinds of things were real simple and practical. And I think it's a real vulnerable time, you know, where the enemy can sneak his way in there, right? Even more. But man, the Lord is just, it is such a fertile ground to see the Holy Spirit do amazing things. And you don't want to miss it because you fell back into an active addiction or whatever, right? Like, and not that you're going to miss it, because the Lord can even use in those times, right? But just getting really disciplined, I think, is that's really good.
Can I give some encouragement real quick?
Yeah.
I just had this pop into my head. So on Sunday, we had practiced for worship, and we get up there and I lose my ears, but I knew what I was supposed to be doing. So in the wilderness, in these seasons when you're with God, even if you feel like you can't hear God, you already know what you're supposed to be doing. So just keep doing that thing.
Yep, that's good.
Even if you feel like you're not sure if you can do it, just do it to the best of your ability. And when my ears came back on, I could hear myself. Everything was okay. You know, you just kind of had to work with the environment around you.
It's good.
Yeah,
that's
keep
good.
doing what you're doing.
Yeah, it's a good time to fast, right? It's a good time to institute daily marked times of prayer.
Yep.
It's a good time to go every time I'm in my car, I'm listening to scripture. It's a good time to set out times of worship. And and truthfully, like, that should just be all of our lives. But we'll be honest, every single one of us, we have peaks and valleys in our disciplines of spiritual discipline stuff. But man, when you're in the middle of it, just get minute, get so laser focused on it. And it isn't because you're doing things that God shows up, but you're putting yourself in a position, a posture where Holy Spirit can really just speak. And because I just speak from my life, right? Like I knew that to be true, of having those conversations with the Lord of like, path A, I'm doubling down with you, Jesus. Path B, you know, the world wouldn't blame you for going down the road of nonsense. Right.
I thought it was interesting that you brought up about the long journey, and then that 1 second that God uses you.
Yeah.
In some situations.
I got a little excited. That was supposed to be this week's talk.
Yeah. But I thought it was so profound because the reality, Max Lucado writes a book about, you know, the embracing the long journey and how important it is as believers that we embrace the long journey as much as we embrace those moments of those great success moments or those God moments.
Yeah.
And I think that was so good because how much we miss so much in our journey when we don't embrace those long moments where we're waiting for God to do something. We're always looking for that one moment when he does something really cool, and they're like, yeah, that's awesome.
Right.
But he's the same God that was a part with you through that long journey as the God that did that one moment.
Go ahead.
No, you're okay.
So this is hard for me to explain, I think. And I tried a little bit on Sunday. So the old Gary is dead. The new Gary is alive in Christ. I know what he saved me from. I know what he saved me to. My gratitude for what he saved me from should allow God to play my hand, play my life in the hand that he wants out of my gratitude. And if he wants me to, you know, have a limp for the rest of my life, I should be okay with that.
Yep.
No, that's not for the new Christian. Probably that's not for the weak Christian. That's for the mature Christian that realizes I'm alive in Christ and he gets all of it.
Yep.
Good, bad, and ugly.
Yep.
Right. And so trying to explain that can be challenging to make it make sense, but
that is maturity thing.
Yeah,
that is spiritual maturity.
Well, in the environment we live today, that sounds like a defeatist attitude.
Right.
Like I've given up on my faith. And the reality is that has nothing to do with it. So, you know, God is faithful. I remember I've told the story a bazillion times, but when, you know, my youngest Carson was diagnosed with cancer, you know, we had people like, you know, telling us, you don't have enough faith, he's going to be healed. And I'm like, no, it has nothing to do with it. My wife and I finally got to the place after we had to heal our own hearts that God's the same God that brought him into the world, and he's the same God that would maybe take him home.
So it's like Pastor Ted just said it really well, and I'm going to kind of change a little bit of what he said. This week, I feel like I'm supposed to talk about, there's the allowances of God and the assignments of God. The allowances, God's going to allow Satan to test me through your situation with Carson, right? And then there's those assignments where the Lord puts me in a position, right? How do you determine between the two? How do you know how hard to fight?
Yeah.
How do you know when just to put it on cruise and just I'm going to stay with the Lord here? That's all. Like I don't even know how to answer those questions at the moment, right? But so Carson's born. He's got cancer. He's a little guy.
Yeah.
Do you just be like, yeah, whatever? I guess is what the Lord wants from me. No, I don't think that's the whole story.
No, that's not. Yeah.
Sure.
Right. But to say, God, if this is what you have willed at this moment, give me the serenity and the peace to be able to be okay with that. But I'm not going to give the devil one centimeter of our life into the life of my son.
Yeah.
How do you make all that happen? Right.
I mean, isn't that part of what you read in Job? Like just his back and forth with his friends. I'm listening to that section of scripture right now, and it is pretty profound of just, I don't fully get it, but I trust him.
Right.
Well, I think it gets back, and this maybe we can close, is this idea of sovereignty. I think that was crucial for people to hear. The idea that sovereignty is a real thing in our relationship with God. And I think that we always want to create an environment where God's the genie in the bottle. We rub it 3 times and he's going to give us what we want. But the truth is, God's sovereignty is like in the Lord's Prayer, that we have to pray his will be done, not my will, and be okay with the fact that we have just given him permission to do what he wants to do as God.
I know we're almost out of time here. So are you guys all caught up on The Chosen?
No, I'm not. No,
I'm not.
All right. You need to catch up.
Okay.
I will, because you already know the story, but so Jesus praying in the garden, they show you a couple of non-scriptural, but very eye-opening experiences that Jesus had in the garden. And it added a ton of appreciation for what Jesus was going through. And it gave me a little thing of hope for myself. And so I encourage you to kind of catch up, but, the idea here is that, and I feel like I'm kind of coaching myself for this weekend. This is I am a spirit-filled Christian who needs to spend time with God for him to tell me what do I do with an allowance and what do I do with an assignment. And Jesus in The Chosen, they show a pretty good job of him getting away with the Father.
Yeah.
So
that'd be good.
Yeah.
I think that's probably where I'll be going this weekend. It'd be a lot of fun.
Cool.
I just want
allowances and
assignments.
Sorry.
Yeah. No.
So allowance. Have you seen my servant Job?
Yeah.
You're allowed to bring problems.
Right. Okay.
The man was born blind. That was an assignment.
Okay.
So what do I do with do I do with those 2 things?
That's good.
Yeah. How do I deal with those things?
That's good. I'm excited.
Yeah. So, I mean, do we know what's going to happen at the end of The Chosen, or has that been leaked yet, or what?
There should be no spoiler.
That's a spoiler, big time.
Are you caught up? Yeah, there was like one episode. It was like, oh man, let's move this thing along.
Yeah, I was like, I don't care what Caiaphas has to say. Shut up.
Well,
move on.
Yeah, I
They
appreciate
do.
your opinion.
I mean, but overall, it's really good.
Yeah.
It is so good. There was a 30-minute back and forth between Caiaphas and
Pilate,
and I was just like,
yeah, but I don't know. I appreciated some of that. Mine was some of the flashbacks of the disciples. Oh, and it was kind of like, all right, well, whatever. Yeah. But they've done a really good job of sticking to the story.
Yeah,
and keeping it pretty biblically accurate.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah. So
I didn't really appreciate the fact that they gave Matthew sort of like this autistic bent.
I like it.
I actually really appreciate it.
I didn't like it. I personally didn't like it.
He's so detail-oriented, factual only, and that's how you read his book.
I know.
That's how you read it.
I tell you, I appreciated it. It was a little annoying in the first couple episodes when it's like, I like this guy. I can see what God's working with them.
I mean, that's not, I see Matthew as kind of like the guy that is an accountant, but at the same time, he's kind of like really particular. I like that part of it. But then it was just kind of, there's some areas where I'm like, that's a little odd,
My favorite question to ask people that are very into The Chosen is, which 2 disciples do you see yourself in? And mine has always been Andrew and Matthew.
Really?
Like, I love Jesus. I got everything, or John and Matthew. Like, I love Jesus, love him. Got a little bit of anxiety. I'm getting there, you know. And then I'm also very, okay, where are we going? Why are we going? How's this going to work? I have questions. What did I just see? Am I sure that I just saw that?
I thought it'd be like John the Baptist or something.
Press the button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be John
You wanted
the Baptist.
you wanted to press the flip
Yeah,
button.
I thought
so
it'd be
bad.
John the Baptist because he ate locusts and
Yeah.
lived out in the wilderness.
Right.
And, yeah. No? I'm getting the look right now if you don't see it on camera right now. All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for being here today and for your encouragement. Help me get this message out there.
Yeah.
Let's grow some Christians.
If you're cold on Sunday, bring a parka.
Yeah.
Because we're going to turn it down again.
Seriously, we will die on stage if we don't have the
Yeah,
AC
right, yeah.
like that.
Talk to you later.
We want you to know, find, discover, change with us. More podcast ending transmission. Now.